Okay, well, hello and thank you for joining us today. I'm Victoria Allen, Senior Marketing Manager here at Ascertia, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. Before we start, just a quick bit of housekeeping about the webinar. All participants are on mute, and the webinar is being recorded and will be made available after the session. If you have any questions, please click on the Q&A button in the Zoom client, enter your question in the panel, and then Peter and Chris will try and reply to as many as possible at the end of the webinar. If you have any other questions for Ascertia or wish to speak to a member of the team, email marketing@ascertia. So moving on to today's session, I'm delighted to introduce Chris Piercy, Senior Sales Manager here at Ascertia, and Peter Rensburg, Head of our Customer Success team. I will now hand over to Chris to begin the session. Over to you, Chris.
Excellent. Excellent, thank you, Victoria. So welcome, thank you everybody for attending our webinar. Just a quick note, as you know, we're living in the world of COVID at the moment. So if you hear dogs barking, doorbells ringing, kids going absolutely mental, please excuse that for the minute. And we've also taken the decision not to use video in this webinar because of internet issues and so forth. So it's just a quick setting the scene from that side. But as I said, thank you very much for attending this webinar on the impact of CSC, which is the Cloud Signature Consortium and the future of signing. As Victoria said, I'm Chris Piercy, Senior Sales Manager, and I'm joined by my colleague Peter Rensburg, Head of Customer Success.
Hi everyone.
If you're wondering about his accent, he's South African, but don't hold that against him. He does know his stuff on CSC. Okay, so in today's one, we're going to run through 4 key questions, and then we have a short demo for you. We expect the presentation to kind of be in the region of 20 minutes. And as mentioned by Victoria, we then have quite a nice time set at the end for any questions that you might have. Just the next few slides, I'm just going to quickly take you through and just set the scene from Ascertia standpoint. So Ascertia has been in the business of securing data, documents and devices since 2001. Today, we're focusing very much on documents where we have solutions that have taken advantage of CSC to provide a great signing experience. For those not familiar, these are our key Ascertia products. So we have Sign-in Hub, which is document approval, workflow, full e-signature platform. We also have WebRA, which is for certificate registration. So you can create forms for all types of registration for certificates. We also support different enrollment protocols for IoT projects. And then you have ADSS Server, which is our modular product. Has modules for sign-in, certificate issuance, timestamping, verification, and so forth. So that's our kind of core product suite. So in terms of Ascertia, we're very much focused on open standards. We actively engage with a number of key industry bodies. We're actually part of the ETSI task force for the new setting the rules for the new qualified remote digital signature standards, and we take security seriously. We've achieved common criteria certification against our products as well. We work with some amazing partners, some of which have joined us today. We also power a number of European qualified trust service providers and global trust service providers in regions such as Africa, Asia, Middle East and Latin America. And finally, we've been very successful with our signing technology in the enterprise space, and here are some of our key customers.
So what is the Cloud Signature Consortium? Well, before I can tell you about CSC, I need to first tell you about Steve. Steve has a business application that he wants to use to sign documents. In order for Steve's application to sign documents and have a publicly trusted signature, it needs to integrate with a remote signing service provider like a TSP. However, in order for Steve's application to communicate with an RSSP, he needs to write a proprietary integration with that RSSP. Steve then realizes that he also wants to be able to produce qualified signatures. Steve now needs to integrate with a different RSSP because the RSSP he went with initially is not a registered QTSP. And yes, you guessed it, Steve once again needs to write a second proprietary integration with that RSSP. In comes Cloud Signature Consortium. So CSC is a global open standard. It allows applications and services to leverage digital signatures, and it does that in a non-proprietary way. That means that you can have multiple third-party business applications interacting with multiple TSPs or QTSPs to perform a digital signature using a centrally held key. The e-IDAS regulation has provided legal standing to cloud-based advanced and qualified electronic signatures, and in 2016, industry leaders and academic organizations united to form the Cloud Signature Consortium. Ascertia complies with the e-IDAS ETSI EN 419241 standard and the EN 419241-2 protection profile with sole control assurance level 2. All of this means that Steve only needs to make his business application CSC compliant, and that will give him instant interoperability with any CSC compliant remote signing service provider. Over to you, Chris.
Excellent, thanks, Peter. Great. So then let's look at what the flexibility does CSC offer. So before we kind of get there, let's just kind of retrace. So, as Peter mentioned, e-IDAS is kind of seen as the gold standard. There's circa about 14 billion mobile devices in the world. So it's clear that enabling people to sign on mobile in a secure way is crucial to that kind of digitization project or process. One aspect of e-IDAS was really focused on enabling high trust cloud-based digital signatures to kind of have the same equivalent legal standing as a handwritten signature. And as this slide shows, some of the well-known benefits of moving from tokens and smart cards which can't be used via mobile. We've got benefits like better security, reduced costs, and mobile friendly. Now, even with the guidelines, there were some challenges for end users, for the e-signature vendors, and for trust service providers. So at a very kind of high level for the end user, in some occurrences, they may be mandated to sign with qualified certificates, but it wasn't always possible in a seamless, hassle-free, cost-effective way. For the digital signature vendors, there was a need to ensure that the user experience was upheld. There was seamless onboarding, kind of bouncing to other pages, easy integration, and obviously supporting multiple third-party trust service providers. Now, when there's everyone doing everything in a different way, there could be issues, and reputation damage was very much on the service provider. And then when we look at the trust service providers, it's clear that they have to invest a lot. There's a lot of compliance and rules to ensure they remain inside the AATL or European trust lists. And really, that's quite opposite to what governments and enterprises are looking for. They're looking for simplification, whereas obviously the trust service providers need control and to ensure things are being done in the correct way. So it was clear that the industry needed a non-proprietary way for e-signature vendors and trust service providers to communicate. And as we know, CSC was developed as an open standard. The list of digital signature vendors and TSPs is growing rapidly. And so the vision of e-IDAS for high trust cloud signatures is now very much accelerating. There are some challenges still. I think, looking at the vetting and onboarding processes, that kind of end-to-end experience. In Ascertia, we've recently released WebRA, and that's kind of a nice product to embed easy registrations and video vetting into a process like this. However, the impact of CSC really will be to support greater choice, deployment flexibility, higher demand for high trust digital signatures, more commercial opportunities for everyone, greater competition, and truly global adaptable solutions.
How has Ascertia implemented CSC? Well, let's first have a look at what we've implemented on Signing Hub. As of Signing Hub version 779, we have implemented the V1040 CSC protocols. That means that Signing Hub can integrate with a TSP using our ADSS server, a QTSP using our ADSS server in conjunction with our SAM appliance, or any CSC compliant RSSP. Users can interact directly with Signing Hub web interface and sign documents utilizing certificates issued from various RSSPs. This also means a company will be able to integrate their business application with Signing Hub in order to add the rich functionality of Signing Hub to their application, as well as the ability to use certificates issued from various RSSPs for signing. On the ADSS server side, ADSS server has made use of the CSC protocols for a few years now, and as of ADSS server 6.8, ADSS server will also support the latest V1040 CSC protocols. ADSS RAS server allows remote authorized signing, allowing sole control assurance level 2, and can therefore be used by TSPs and QTSPs to offer an RSSP service. And as mentioned before, this allows business applications such as Signing Hub, Adobe Sign, or any other third-party CSC compliant signing business application to use ADSS Server as an RSSP.
So how can Ascertia help you benefit from CSC? Simply, we're in a very unique position in the sense that we can support governments, enterprises and trust service providers in taking advantage of the benefits of CSC. So when we look at it from a corporate, maybe government perspective, we can provide Signing Hub on premise or via one of our partners hosted white label services. That gives the ability to control documents, control branding, control user experience, SLAs, and then also utilize CSC to connect with their chosen trust service providers. Pretty useful for global businesses who might want to standardize on an e-signature platform but use different trust service providers to respect regional laws. So great flexibility on that side. And then from a trust service provider's perspective, we can offer a full turnkey solution for trust service providers to become an RSSP, as Peter mentioned, with CSC compliance. We've done this in a nice modular, scalable and certified way. So you choose the modules that you need. We also have the ability to support right up to qualified trust service providers with our qualified signature creation device, which is the ADSS SAM appliance. And then if TSPs want to offer more than just the RSSP, they can also white label Signing Hub, for instance, and offer an in-country SaaS service potentially. And we can support maybe if they need a more robust certificate authority, for instance, we can provide back-end PKI services. So this is all great for trust service providers who wish to kind of reduce their development budgets and maximize their revenue generation.
Now that we've seen what CSC is about, let's have a look at a demonstration of signing up using the CSC protocols. Today I'm going to show you how we've used the Cloud Signature Consortium protocol to interact with RSSPs using our Signing Hub platform. To get started, click on New Workflow. From the upload page, you can upload one or multiple documents from either your desktop, from the Signing Up library, or from any of the cloud drives. I'm just going to grab a document from our Signing Hub library. On the workflow page, you can go and specify who you'd like to interact on that workflow. So effectively, who needs to sign the document. By default, I've been selected as a first signer, but I'm also going to go and add Chris as a second signer as part of this workflow. I can just set the workflow type. You can also set permissions. You can choose whether you want to allow this document to be printed or downloaded or various other settings. You can also set access security. So do you want to allow the document to be opened with a password or an OTP? You can also set whether you want to have the document certified or to lock the document on specific fields. For this demonstration, I'm just going to use the default settings. On the document viewer page, you can prepare your document for signing. On the right-hand side, I have myself and Chris as signers, and I can also make use of fields to complete data on this document. So for this example, I'll just use a name field for myself and a date and a signature block. All of these fields can be resized. And I'm just going to do the same for Chris as well. Name, and then date, and a signature field. We've added a new feature to Signing Hub, which allows a document owner to set the level of assurance. That means the document owner can now dictate what type of signature an end user is allowed to use on this document. Now that the document is ready to be signed, I also would like to just add that all of these steps could have been completed by a Signing Hub template or systematically using the Signing Hub RESTful API. To sign the document, I'm simply going to click on the signature block, and this is where CSC kicks in. SigniHub will present you with all the available RSSPs that have been configured to your account. And as you can see in this example, we've got CSC using ADSS RAS server. We've got Adacom as a third-party CSC provider, and we also have the RAS native integration with ADSS server. Once I've selected Adacom as the RSSP, I need to authenticate against their CSC servers. And with that authorization, SigniHub is now able to see what certificates Adacom has available for signing. Once I click on sign, I get prompted for an OTP, and that OTP is managed by the RSSP. Once the OTP is entered, a hash gets sent to the RSSP for signing, and on return compiles it back into the document. Thank you for taking the time to watch this demonstration of how we've used the Cloud Signature Consortium to integrate SigniHub with an RSSP.
Thank you, Peter and Chris. That was really interesting. So now we're moving on to the question and answer session. While you were speaking, there's been a couple of questions come through. So shall we start with those? Chris, I think the first one is more towards you. So why is the adoption of standards such as CSC and eIDAS so crucial to the digitization of business processes?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I mean, there's many reasons, isn't there? I think standardization across the board is always good for interoperability, so that people are able then to work within different systems. But I think what really it comes down to playing that sort of level playing field. It means that globally everyone's following very similar rules. Things can be seamless. And it's easy for the different vendors to support as well. So, you know, as I said, the eIDAS is very much the golden standard for this, and countries are adopting similar kind of regulations and standards as well. Yeah, I think CSC will be crucial to that kind of whole global digitization. It really helps everyone anchor into trust. And all the vendors to be able to kind of support one simple way for everyone to talk together.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that's about it from my side. I don't know if Peter's got anything he wants to add.
No, I think you've covered. Thanks, Chris.
And the next one is very topical. Has the pandemic increased the importance of adopting standards such as CSC? Chris, would you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has. Certainly, what I think probably what a lot of us have seen is a huge spike. People are working from home now, so there's definitely a massive requirement to maybe digitize processes. And then, of course, then what happens is there's the blocker that comes in, which is, well, how do we actually do this, and how do we you know, ensure that this is a nice seamless place, and we can be sure that the people are signing who they are and stuff like that. So I think when you kind of add all that together, I think CSC just then simplifies that whole process. As I said before, if you take the example of, you know, a global organization that has you know, a digital signature platform that they want to standardize on, but they need to use a trust service provider in Saudi Arabia, for instance. You know, it enables them to kind of do that. So I definitely think it is another accelerator and another reason for us to kind of move towards these open standards.
Thank you. I think, Peter, I think this one's more targeted at you. Can we sign with qualified national EID cards also in SigniHub?
Yes, that's still possible. So you'll make use of your GoSign service and GoSign desktop, the same way you've always done with SigniHub. So you'll just install GoSign desktop and you'll be able to integrate with your national EID card. It just needs to be added as well as part of your GoSign service and your trust manager in order for it to be trusted by your ADSS server.
Okay, thank you. And another one for you, Peter, sorry. Does this mean that I can initiate a signing from SigniHub and leave the authentication and authorization and signing to a CSC partner, i.e. ADSS will be omitted? Absolutely.
So that's exactly the idea behind the interoperability of CSC. So any CSC provider will then handle the authorization. Effectively, SignuP will work directly with that CSC provider. SignuP will send the hash through to that CSC provider, and the provider will do the authorization of that request to allow the usage of that certificate, and will respond back with a signed hash, and SignuP will embed that back into the document.
We've just got a couple more, so I'll just run through those. So how many QTSPs are available for signers? And are you open to integrating additional QTSPs? Peter, I guess that one's for you.
Chris, I think you've got the numbers on how many QTSPs we have, but I can mention that, I mean, QTSPs in general, that's, if you're registered as a QTSP and you are RSSP compliant and you are CSC compliant, you should be able to just seamlessly work with our solutions. Chris, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know how many numbers of qualified trust service providers that we have, you know, that are using our back-end technology. As a guess, I would say somewhere between sort of 10 to kind of 15. But in terms of, yeah, this is exactly you know, the purpose of CSC. Anybody who wants to connect like Sign-in Hub with the qualified trust service provider, then that's absolutely going to be possible, and makes life a lot simpler when we're working in different regions. So we're always happy to connect with trust service providers, qualified trust service providers, and discuss commercially how we can work well together.
Great, thank you. And we've just got two more, so can we just run through those? And then, so the next one is, we're here to speak about personal signature. Is it possible to use CSC to seal entity/server signatures?
Not at this stage. So CSC, the CSC API very specifically works with personal signatures. It's not been specified with regards to e-sealing as yet. I'm sure there are some more updates that will come to CSC in later years as the community continues to grow and requirements continue to grow.
Great, thank you. And final one, is OTP secure enough for authorizing cloud digital signing?
In this particular scenario, I used OTP as that is what Adacom uses, but it's actually a multi-factor authentication. So the first one was a username and password to authorize it, and then the second one was actually a TOTP, not a regular OTP. So it was actually using an authorization application in the background to authorize that. That said, you do get multiple authentication methods. So as part of the CSC protocol, you get explicit, and this one in particular is explicit. So it means that SignuP can present either a PIN or an OTP, which in most cases will be a TOTP. You also get implicit as well as auth code. Now, I think the most common one, and as an example, our RAS service makes use of auth code. So effectively what that means is Signing Hub just goes and hands over the application to the RSSP service provider to decide how they are going to manage that authorization, and then work with an auth token in the background to authorize that request. So effectively, it's up to the RSSP provider to decide what method of authentication they're using to secure their keys. And obviously that is regulated as well. So in order to be a QTSP, you need to follow certain standards of authentication, authorization, and so on.
Great, thank you. And obviously this is a very popular topic. We've got quite a few questions coming through. So is it okay to answer just a couple more while we're here? And we'll have a little bit of time.
No problem.
Thank you. So Chris, this one's to you. What would you say are the key reasons why Ascertia has been the preferred choice for CSC amongst your clients?
I mean, I guess it depends how to interpret that question. Let's say from a trust service provider's perspective, let's say for example, you know, a benefit for us, if you're qualified, is that we have the qualified signature creation device, and then we have all of the RSSP components already ready to plug in and then to connect with your existing PKI. So in terms of simplifying your world, not spending huge amounts of money on R&D, that would be a choice. There would be a reason. There'll be some trust service providers who are very capable of building all of those components themselves, but some may just decide to focus on what they really want to do, which is running that QTSP or a trust service provider. And then from a customer's perspective, then really how sort of enterprises and governments will utilize it will be via, say, a product like Signing Hub. And because Signing Hub can be run on premise, it can be run like if you're a global organization and you have Signing Hub hosted on-prem, and then you might have different enterprises for subsidiary businesses, and then again you can connect with the various regional trust service providers via CSC. So that kind of flexibility will provide, is one key reason why somebody would be interested. So I'm not sure if that fully answers the question, but I think that's probably the best way to look at it.
Great, thank you. And final question to you, Peter. What are the main challenges for businesses looking to adopt digital signatures as part of a digital transformation project? Are there any barriers to success?
Yeah, I think one of the most difficult barriers to overcome is user acceptance. People in general are reluctant to change, so the biggest challenge is educating end users to understand and trust the dependability of digital signatures. Sort of think of this as a switch between, like back in the day when we switched from Polaroid photos to digital photos. So today, digital photos is the norm, and newer generations may not even know what a Polaroid is. So similarly, we are trying to work towards the same sort of flow with digital signatures, where eventually digital signatures will be the norm for everyone, and that will become the standard for legal vetting.
Okay, great, thank you very much, and thank you for all those questions as well. I just want to say thank you for joining us today, and we hope you found this webinar interesting. A recording of the presentation will be sent to you all shortly. If you have any other questions though, or you want any more information, then please email marketing@ascertia.com. And thank you for joining us.
Excellent, thank you everyone.
Thanks everyone, bye-bye.